Yo, what's up? Been a minute. Coming back at you with yet another video. And today we're gonna try something a little different. If you know me, you know I change phones like underwear. I've probably had more phones in my life than a family of 4 or family of 6 will ever have in their life. It's a bit of a technology addiction. Been infatuated with smartphones ever since I got my first Razor and the iPhone came out, and I was really could never afford the iPhone. I wasn't on AT&T, so when Verizon got the iPhone 4, the rest is history. The only one I've never had was the 14, but I have dailied all of the other iPhones, at least the Pro models most recently. But the iPhone 13 mini is by far and above my favorite phone that they've released, at least in the last 5 years. Preceding that, it was the 10 and the 11 Pro form factor. I loved it. 5.7 inch screen? Perfect in the hand. So this September, Apple did something where they had their annual keynote like they do every year to announce the new iPhones, the newest, greatest, and best iPhones of all time. And while that may be true, they came out with 3 models, 4 phones. And the one that caught my eye initially was this guy, the iPhone Air. Notice I didn't say 17 Air, this is the iPhone Air. I don't think this will be a phone that they update every year, and if they do, great. I do think this is a long-term game. This is one half of their folding device. 5.6 millimeters thin, A19 Pro chip, 48 megapixel fusion camera, and I needed to try it, right? Phones have become really, really stale. Everything's a thick glass and metal sandwich of some sort, and Apple didn't really change the formula here. They kept the titanium rails, albeit polished this year, of their Pro line last year. So this kind of looks like a thinner iPhone, call it Pro, without the cameras. And I've been using it a lot for the last week. It has been my daily driver, the last 10 days or so. That's not true, 9. And I have some thoughts, both good and bad. So let's lead with the good. Form factor is jaw-dropping, and I'm taking that from that keynote. It is awesome to pick up a phone this thin, this light, this capable. Screen is absolutely beautiful. It sits in the middle of the Pro or the regular iPhone and the Pro Max at 6.5 inches. It is, we'll call it Super Samsung AMOLED, but it is Pro Retina XDR, whatever they're calling it, 120 hertz. Covered in ceramic shield too, so it should be scratch and shatter resistant to a degree, better than the other ones. I am team no case. I roll Apple Care, and that is my case. Live on the wild side. But yeah, I really, really like the form factor. I like the display. It's obviously beautiful. I like the speed. The performance, unless it's under load, performs great. Performs as good as any other phone out there on the market. Phones nowadays, they're all fast. You don't need to upgrade every year. Just don't. I do like, the attention to detail. Apple builds these things like a tank. I like that they already come out the gate with accessories. We can talk about that in a minute in my cons list. But yeah, that's about it. The novelty wore off sooner than I thought. And here are my reasons why that I will not be keeping the iPhone Air. So first and foremost, if you scroll a lot or use your phone a lot without headphones in, this has a mono single speaker at the top. And you notice I've already reset it. That speaker is absolute dog water. It's serviceable if you are in portrait orientation scrolling and you've got media blaring at you. I guess it's fine. But if you do anything landscape, or you're trying to fill a room with sound where maybe there's some competing sound like a TV or somebody's cooking, it's rough. We do a lot of FaceTime with the kids and my mom, and shockingly, this phone, there were more times where I had to ask, what did you say? Or I couldn't hear that, or the kids would just kind of look like, why are we not hearing grandma and grandpa? So it just wasn't it. I did forget one thing that I like, and that is mobile performance seems much improved with the Apple, is it C1X modem, their second iteration or generation of their modem. Stronger connections, faster speeds, doesn't drop as connection to LTE as fast. But yeah, anyways, back to the negative. That speaker, no bueno. Second thing I don't like, the camera. I have young kids. They are 2 and 5, so they're moving all the time. We typically keep our lights off in this house. I'm not a big light guy. I like to conserve electricity when able. I like natural light. Today is a little bit gloomier. So I do have a lot of lesser light shots when we're at home if I want to capture, one of the kids doing something or they're playing or whatever. So, this camera kind of struggles with that in lower light. It's not bad. It reminds me of like the iPhone 13 mini cameras or like just base iPhone cameras. It's good in perfect lighting. It's absolutely great. When you got to zoom in, you're definitely losing a lot of detail. When you have to punch out, you can't. There's no ultra wide lens. There's no telephoto lens. It's this single shooter. And Apple, with their marketing, says you have, I forget how many lenses combined into this Fusion camera. Yeah, it's great. This would be a camera that I would say is the closest thing to like a old school Kodak point and shoot where you get the film developed, or like the Nikon where you had the first memory card, the first digital camera that came out. It was small and you took the picture. You didn't really go edit it in post because it wasn't really a thing. So the camera is just okay. The third part for me was heat and performance. So I don't push my phones. I don't play Genshin Impact, Call of Duty. I don't play any of that, heavy demanding gaming. While it is capable in doing those things, where my finger rests up on this plateau where everything is like the design of this phone, everything is right there. I guess like in horizontal, you're gonna feel the heat all right here. And it's not hot. I think somebody took some other YouTuber, and I forget, took like the heat gun and did it. And it's pretty serviceable, but under load, yeah, you're gonna feel the heat. And heat kills battery and heat kills performance. And this phone is the best battery you're ever gonna get, foreshadowing, for the next 2-3 years if you keep this phone that long. And that's gonna just lead me right into my third point. So Apple, when they announced this phone, 3149 milliamp hour battery. It's small. Obviously, there's no room to put a battery, right? Like everything is up here. It's eSIM only because they wanted to maximize the battery. And the battery is okay, right? Like I can get through a full day of medium use. I usually use my phone a lot for Teams calls. If I have a call I don't have to present on, I'm beelining it for a walk. Screen brightness is perfectly serviceable out there, but I do notice when I'm using my phone a lot outside or on mobile connectivity, the battery does take a hit. Same with FaceTime. FaceTime seems to absolutely destroy the battery on iOS 26. So yeah, if you have a heavier day where you're driving and you're using wireless CarPlay, you're gonna notice the hit on the battery. There were several days where 4-5 o'clock came around and I was hitting the 20% low battery marker. Now, I definitely had more screen time than I should have, especially in the honeymoon phase of a device. And if you don't use another Apple device during the day, like a Mac or an iPad for your, content consumption, this thing is definitely gonna take a hit. And it's pretty funny. Apple released a battery accessory that they announced on stage with the exact same battery size, 3149, as the Air for $99. And it clips on like this and makes it basically a Pro. So while that battery at $99, this quickly becomes a $10.99 phone, which is the exact same as the Pro, which has better battery life, better thermals, better cameras, better performance, doesn't have a USB 2 port. The battery just, it's not there. I think if Apple decided to adopt some sort of that new Chinese battery tech, silicon carbon, I think they could get a lot more into this. But in the volume of phones Apple ships every year, I just don't think they're ready to adopt the technology. It's there, but it's not been studied long term, right? So those batteries deplete faster than lithium ion. So am I gonna keep the 17 Pro? And I may have led to it, or the 17 Air. It's not even the 17 Air. I'm making mistakes. The iPhone Air. The answer is no. I need the camera. My kids are starting, extracurriculars in the spring, t-ball. If I'm not coaching on the field, I want to be able to, get shots from afar. I want to be able to capture the best video. And I need something that I don't have to rely on an external battery pack to get through those heavier days. What if I was using the camera a lot? Is this phone gonna make it? I don't think so. So unfortunately, it is going back to Apple. And I think we're gonna roll the 17 Pro. I debated the Pro Max, but it's just so unwieldy large. I have smaller hands, and I've done the Pro Max thing for a while, and battery life's great, and the bigger display is nice, but I also want to use my phone less. Like, we're in 2025, we're all digitally addicted to these displays. I don't do TikTok, fortunately, and largely I don't keep much social media on my phone, so what am I looking at for 4 hours a day? Yeah, well, that's been my first kind of like tech review. People have been saying I should do this for a long time. I don't have fancy B-roll. Maybe I'll get into that someday, but I just want to talk about tech. Tech is inundated in our lives. It's ingrained everywhere. Like, we've got smartwatches, we've got headphones in, we've got computers, and kids have tablets, and there's TVs, and like, it's just everywhere. So it's not going anywhere. So I just want to have conversations about tech. So leave a comment. Are you team Android? Are you team iPhone? What are you rocking? And why do you like it? Are you going to upgrade to the new iPhone 17 series or the Air? Let me know. Thanks. Peace.